Saudi Arabia's defense minister Khalid bin Salman is expected to visit the White House today for meetings with senior Biden administration officials in a bid to ease tensions in the region. Bin Salman would be the highest-ranking Saudi official to visit Washington since President Biden took office. Joining me now, Heritage Foundation senior research fellow, 25-year Air Force vet and former F-16 pilot John JV Venable. John, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl. Great to be with you.
Great to be with you. What can we expect out of these talks? In particular, what is the best role you think the Saudis can play in all of this? Certainly, we still have fresh memories of the king and, of course, the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. So Saudi has its issues. But at the same time, can they be a voice of strength in all of this when at this point, it looks like they're backing away from Israel and backing away from the Abraham Accords?
Well, it's a great question. This administration has a challenge in and of itself. It has little strength or power or cohesion in its policies. And so when you look at what it has done and said about the Saudi kingdom and how it's castigated it into a very similar mode as it does with other terrorist factions in the region, it's hard to imagine how that administration is going to get any concessions or get the backing of the Saudis in this process. And they need it. They need to actually stand up and say what Israel has done is in its own self-defense. It has been attacked, and we need to support them every way we can. And the Saudis can help us with that. But for this administration to actually get that ask through and get them to implement it will be a big challenge based on the history of its actions.
I would think it'd be more of a back-channel conversation, but again, this is an official. These are official talks happening between us and the Saudis. So we shall say. But look, what happens with the Saudis in particular? Let's get to the real story here, and that, of course, is oil. They've cut production. Russia's, OPEC Plus. They've cut production. And I was looking at a report from the WTO. The chief of the WTO now saying global economic growth will be impacted if the ongoing Israel-Hamas war spills into the broader Middle East. And that goes back to the oil markets. That's what Saudi could do for us right now. Will they?
Yes, ma'am.
Not so short.
Yeah. It's the same thing. When you ask someone to do something for you that you have basically blasphemed at every opportunity that you can, it's really hard for them to understand why they should do something for you. The region there is actually on the precipice of an explosion, and I think the Saudis realize that. And the one thing going for the Biden administration in this negotiation is Saudis want to actually suppress that, to keep it from going into an out-and-out regional conflict as opposed to containing it just to the state of Israel and Hamas in this battle along the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, and also I think what's been interesting to see play out is the role of Qatar in all of this, in particular with hostage negotiations. But let's talk about what's happening on the ground there, because Israeli Defense Forces did expand the ground attack into Gaza overnight. They've now moved further into Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did announce over the weekend, as we know, that the second phase of the war has begun. I want to get your reaction to the timing of all of this. He has been saying from the beginning, it is us or them. He's been very clear, but he's actually had his own political problems, which really began to surface in this news conference over the weekend. Reporters there started to ask him, did you know? Were you warned? And that was the first time he'd taken any questions from reporters. What did you make of how that all played out over the weekend?
Well, the administration's in a bind. It basically wants to support Israel any way it can, and it had intel. What was that intel, and what was the depth of the intel? And did we have the warnings and notifications that we needed to convey to Israel in order to prevent this Hamas atrocity from happening? I don't know. I would hope that the administration would have gone forward and aided them, but as you mentioned, this ground war that is going to take place eventually is in the second phase, as Netanyahu has said. And Cheryl, one of the things that is missing in this ground war that everybody talks about is it's always going to be a combined operation between the Israeli Air Force and their ground forces to go in. And what you saw over the weekend was a significant acceleration in the attacks. 450 targets were struck in the last 2 days. and they are going to inundate the region that the army is going to penetrate. They're going to inundate it with as many munitions as they possibly can to soften that region, to make sure their ground forces has as much probability of success as they possibly can.
And obviously with the tunnel system, prayers for those soldiers. I do want to ask you about Iran's president. He accused Israel of crossing, quote, the red lines in its war with Hamas, which I find rich. But he also criticized the U.S. for its continued support of Israel. What I can't get over with this is, I'm sorry, but Iran, you backed Hamas, you trained Hamas, you're supporting Hezbollah inadvertently, and then also what's happening in Syria. Now you've got U.S. forces in Syria that are on guard for good reasons. All of this is Iran, but yet, I'm sorry, the U.S. and Israel crossed a red line?
No, that's a great point. It's actually this liberal ability to go and accuse your adversary of doing exactly what you're doing. Iran is the great puppeteer here. They've got three strings that they're pulling. One is with Hamas, one is with Syria, and one is with Hezbollah to the north. And what you're seeing is basically three different tiers of, I don't care about you, I need you to actually do this. Iran does not care about Hamas and Hamas fighters, and Hamas does not care about the Palestinian people. They're inside the tissue, hiding behind the organs of the Palestinians. They lash out, they go in and commit atrocities that they actually want to instill hatred and make Israel react to it, and then kill Palestinian people in the process. Use them as human shields, or maybe just targets so they can inflate their numbers of how many people have been killed or wounded. This is a horrific tiering. It's a horrific tiering, and Iran is behind it all. They're the ones who crossed this red line.
And do they care about the Palestinian people? No. Maybe the carrier group that is off of the coast right now might be a deterrent to Iran. We can only hope. We do have the might of the U.S. military, though, in the region. Thank you, John JV Venable. Appreciate you coming on the show this morning.
Great to be with you, Cheryl.
All right.